Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in again. And those of you who are new, my name is Sarah. Today I literally pulled over to talk about why being triggered is healing and it's good for us. I know it sounds crazy, right? Because when we're triggered, we go into unpleasant state of mind. We go into defensive mode. We go into sadness. We go into fear. We go into so many different emotions that don't feel good. They're horrible. So I can understand that most of us avoid being triggered, and that's normal. I do the same thing. I avoid people who trigger me and avoid situations. But I'm here to share an experience that I've had recently that really led me to pull over to the side of the road to discuss this. So I ran into someone from the past who I still have to deal with in my life due to previous arrangements and connections that we've had. But when I saw this person and the interaction that I had with them, it triggered so many different emotions in me, and those emotions were familiar to the type of relationship that I had with this person, and so it was uncomfortable, and it just took me right back to how I used to feel with this person. And that wasn't something pleasant, and I found myself really having the same sensations that I have had in the past with this person. And so on my drive, I thought about, why is it that when we're triggered, the same thoughts and the same feelings come up? And really, I feel from my perspective is that our body, our subconscious is always trying to help us, trying to heal us, trying to assist us. It's always on our side, you know, and it's on our side. And the way that it does its job is by bringing up feelings and sensations in our body to draw our attention to it, so that we can heal, we can release, or we can process these emotions. So essentially, this is what triggers are. Triggers are the mechanism in which our body, our psyche, our unconscious mind, subconscious mind can alert us to an area that needs to heal, that needs our attention. So how do we do this in real life? When we see someone, we have an interaction, we are triggered for one reason or another. How do we then step into a place of healing when we're triggered? Because our natural reaction as humans is to get away from the trigger or try to not feel the different emotions and sensations that come up with these triggers. But a healthier way is to let our triggers heal us. Again, how can we do that? Well, first, it's about acknowledging that you are triggered, that the person, the situation, the interaction, whatever the outside factor is, something has triggered you, has changed your emotional state, has evoked feelings of fear, feelings of dread, panic, whatever the trigger and the effect is that for you, is that one way or another it has changed your state of being. Okay, and the reason this happens is our body, our psyche, our unconscious, subconscious way of alerting us that there is an issue here. There is an issue that needs to be resolved. So that's the first thing, is acknowledging that your state of emotions has changed and the outside trigger has caused this. Okay, and to give yourself grace, because I know sometimes, especially with your conscious person actively working on yourself, when we get triggered, we may tend to go to a place of, but I've done so much work on myself, but I thought I've healed this issue, I've dealt with it, why am I now feeling this way? Okay, that question will come up from time to time. But the truth is, no matter how far we are in our healing journey, how much work we've done on ourselves, there's always room for more healing, more depth of integrity of our healing, more layers. Okay, so be graceful with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, and don't judge yourself for not being completely healed, because healing is not linear and it takes time, and sometimes you will master something and heal from something and another layer will come up, and that's okay. The bottom line is, the reason these triggers are coming up is for healing. So let's reframe the narrative that when we are triggered, it's not because we are weak or unhealed, or it's that person's fault, or it's an excuse to revert back to a victim mentality. Let's reframe being triggered as an opportunity to ask the question, what is it about this situation that has triggered me? And what is it that I am being shown? What is it that my body, my psyche, my subconscious is trying to bring attention to? So when we reframe that question in this way, we then have complete and utter empowerment within ourselves. So the power that we've given the outside stimulus comes back to us, because the answer doesn't depend on someone else acting a certain way. The answer doesn't depend on avoiding certain situations. The answer doesn't come from someone validating and apologizing or anything like that. The answer now becomes between you and yourself. Okay? And that's really empowering, because you're not going to need anyone or anything to do this. You're going to answer the question yourself. Why did I get triggered? Okay, let's break it down. I felt triggered because so and so did this. Okay, how did that make you feel? It made me feel, for example, alone. And what does feeling alone make you feel? It makes me feel like I have no one. I feel abandoned. And what does feeling abandoned make you feel? And keep going and keep going and keep going. Ask yourself question, and then once you've answered the question, ask yourself another question and another question, and soon you will realize that, you know what, the power of the emotion and the trigger will actually lessen, and you will start to actually feel more at ease, and the intensity of this trigger will lessen. Okay, so it's about asking why you were triggered and answering best as you can, and going into each feeling that comes up and asking and examining each layer of feeling until you get to a space where you're feeling more at ease and or you have the answer, and then you can self-comfort. Okay, so essentially what we're doing is becoming our own friend. We're essentially reparenting our inner child, our inner wounding, and taking responsibility for the state of our emotions, the state of our being. Okay, now I know it can be challenging because sometimes, of course, there are certain things that happen outside of us that are not fair, are difficult. There are people who do terrible things or we're just not in alignment with, and of course there's so much we can't control, but what we can control is how we deal with our emotions and how we process them. Okay, so coming back to the main topic at hand is that being triggered is not necessarily a terrible thing if we can start navigating on answering the question for ourselves, why is it that we got triggered? And if we can slowly do that over time, we'll find that it gets easier to go inwards and settle ourselves, comfort ourselves, and this in long term will lead us to be more self-sufficient. It will help us to recover from triggers quickly. Okay, so instead of being triggered and ruminating about it for hours and days and weeks, we can lessen the severity of our triggers and help us to get back on track, to get in communication with ourselves quicker. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that it's okay to be triggered. It's okay to feel like you've gone a little bit back in your healing journey, because it's whatever is coming up for healing. Whatever is coming up because you're now ready to peel a layer in your healing journey and go a little bit deeper. And sometimes it comes at a surprising situations, surprising places, people and interactions. But trust that when you feel triggered, it is an opportunity to ask the question, why is this triggering me? Why is this still triggering me? And what is it that is trying to come to the surface for me to hear it, for me to pay attention to it, and interact with that question and answer the question honestly? Because I do know that sometimes if you haven't done this on a regular basis, you might struggle to come up with an answer. Well, I don't know, I just feel, A, B, C, D, I just feel, and you can name the emotion. But I'm inviting you to ask yourself the question and just quietly listen without judgment or without urgency, and your being, your subconscious, unconscious will definitely give you at least a hint about what is it that you've been triggered. And then from there, it's just about allowing that space to answer that question, to really get a feel for what it is that is trying to come up. And sometimes our body and our unconscious mind sometimes will try to communicate with us through bodily sensations. So for example, if you have sensations in your solar plexus area, it could be feelings of feeling unsafe or violated, or if it comes up in your chest area, it could be feelings of being anxious or being in a pressurized situation, or it can come up in any area. For example, if you feel it in your throat, maybe you feel that you haven't been able to express yourself, or you're not able to express yourself. But take it as it resonates and makes sense with you. But what I'm saying is, pay attention to the different parts of your body that may have different sensations during this time, and do what it takes to make yourself feel immediately safe. Even if you have to do a bit of self-hugging or self-soothing, you can simply even just soothe yourself like this, and make yourself feel the sensation of just patting yourself down like this. And that always has a really comforting and soothing feeling. You can do it anywhere. Like for example, you can do it in a car like here, or you can simply just tap like that. So what this is doing is that the tapping and the rubbing sensation is sending messages to your brain that you are safe, and it's getting it into a state that it actually cause you to be in the present moment and feel the tapping. So having said all that, it's always comes down to us. Okay, the responsibility is on us to heal our inner turmoil, heal our triggers, change our mindset, and do what we can do. Okay, because we can't control anything or anyone outside of us. We only have control of ourselves, how we think, how we respond, how we soothe ourselves, And yeah, so I'll leave you with those words, and I hope that you've gotten value out of this, and I'm really grateful that I could share this with you, and I hope that has helped, and you can practice this at a time that you need it. Okay, take good care. Talk soon.